Hello and welcome to Cupcake Addiction's brain aneurysm cupcake tutorial, where I'm going to be showing you how to make this really kind of gross brain cupcake, which we've taken a little bit over the top by giving it a jello shot which forms the brain aneurysm. So before you serve this to your guests, you can squeeze that jello right down into the cupcake, and when they bite into it or cut into it, they're going to get that really great kind of bloody jello center. So tools and equipment that we will be using today. I've got some strawberry jello. I've got a couple of syringes. Now I've just bought these at the local chemist. I think for me they're about 50 cents each. These are a 5ml syringe and they come all sort of packaged and sterile. They don't have any needles or anything on the end of them, so they are completely safe to use. And of course they're all sterilized, so absolutely fine to use with food. I've got a cupcake. Now I just added just a tiny little bit, a drop or two of pink food colouring to just a plain vanilla cake mix, and that's just going to give us sort of a little bit of a pinkish effect when we get inside that brain. I've got my brain coloured buttercream frosting. So I've just used our perfectly pipeable buttercream frosting in vanilla, and I will leave a link to that recipe in the description box below. And to colour that, depending on how much you want to colour, I've used 2 parts black food colouring, 2 parts pink food colouring and 1 part orange. Now I would suggest adding these, I think I did for the amount that I coloured, 2 drops of pink, 2 drops of black and 1 drop of orange, and just sort of work with it until you get that kind of skin coloury, fleshy tone for your frosting. I've got a knife, I've got a spoon, a Ziploc bag and a pair of scissors. So let's get started. Now, the first thing that you want to do is you want to make up your jelly or your jello as per the manufacturer's instructions. So I've just made just regular strawberry jello, and then I've used my little syringes and I've just make sure that you squeeze all of the air out of them and then suck up that jello. Pop that into the fridge to set, and you can make these several days in advance. Once your jello's made and your jello shot syringes are all completely done, then we can get started on the cupcakes. So we've got our jello shot there pre-made and ready to go. We'll pop that off to the side. Here's our cupcake. What you want to do is you want to take your knife and that fleshy coloured brainy frosting, and we're just going to scoop on a nice little mound of that frosting. So I'm just scooping it on and I'm using the back of the knife just to push it down towards the cupcake liner, but I'm not letting it go over the sides because I don't want to make a mess out of that cupcake liner. So just working it back and forward, you kind of want to make a bit of a rounded dome, but rather than having it completely round, sort of focus on bringing it into a bit more of a football shape. So just wiping off the back of the knife, and I'm just going to smooth out one side and then the other. And what you've got there is sort of, you can see there's sort of like a little bit of a mountain that's kind of a bit flatter on the 2 sides and a bit kind of pointy in the middle. So that's going to be the basic preparation for our cupcake. Now you want to take a little bit of that frosting, pop it in the Ziploc bag, push that frosting all the way down to the end of the bag or to the corner, let any air out, seal that bag up. Now you want to cut off quite a decent little piping tip from the end of that bag. So don't make it too fine because we want it to be quite thick for this brain detailing. So you can see there, there's something about that thick coming out when I squeeze out my piping bag. So now you want to do your brain detail, and this is actually really simple. What you want to do is you want to start on one side, and we're going to do 1 line and then 2 lines, come around to the other side and do 2 more lines, and then do just 2 straight lines across the middle. So the 2 lines that you do around the sides are going to be kind of squiggly, and you want to make sure they come all the way down to that line of that cupcake liner, squeezing out like so. The Ziploc bag is the perfect tool for a brain cupcake. Who would have thought? And then coming up and doing another line. Some things you want to pay attention of here is you do want to make sure that you only use about 2 lines to get up to central with the cupcake, because you don't want too much more than that, or else the brain starts to look a little bit overdone. Perfect. So that's the basis for your brain, and you'll notice I've left both of the ends and the middle free of any frosting apart from that basic mound that we've done. So now I'm just going to go back and forward and do 2 straight lines, sort of turning them around at one end to give us that center of the brain line. Perfect. So there's your brain cupcake. And now to finish that off, I'm going to take my pre-prepared little jelly or jello shot, and I'm just going to stab it right into the middle. That's how I'm going to serve those to my guests. As I said, when you go to eat it, they can decide if they want to eat that jello shot separately and then eat the cupcake, or if they want to sort of have a bit of fun with it, squeeze that jello shot right into the center of the cupcake. When they take a bite, they're going to get all of that delicious gooey jelly inside. I hope you guys aren't too grossed out by this tutorial. I hope that you really like the idea. I've been wanting to make something like this for ages, and Halloween's always the perfect time. Thanks very much for tuning in to My Cupcake Addiction.